What's going on, world? It's your boy, Jamie the Motivator. I'm here again with another special guest on the Too Crowded podcast. Thanks for tuning in. Today, I'm here with Kimathi, a.k.a. KO. Been knowing this guy 10 plus years. He's a serial entrepreneur, but I'm going to let him tell the story. Welcome to the couch, man.
Hey, how's it going, man? Thank you for having me.
Absolutely. For the world who don't know you, who you are, what are the many things that you do, and we're going to dive into your mindset.
Okay, my name is Kimathi Olenja. Everybody calls me KO. I'm the CEO of Cold Turkey Management, and we're a management company that focuses in entertainment as well as STEM and STEAM.
Yeah. Got you. So I know you're on the executive side, but I got to talk about how I know you.
Okay.
As KO on the ones and twos,
right?
And the rapping.
You okay?
Yeah. So I don't know, how long has it been since you've been doing the music yourself?
Well, I haven't really, I'm behind the scenes on the music, okay? Because I do manage a producer, I manage a couple of artists. Mm-hmm. So I still use my creative talents to do writing and a little producing and executive producing over projects.
Because if I look hard enough, I'll probably find a CD.
Yeah?
Yeah, I might even find that CD with you and your brother.
It's funny because somebody I know from a different industry said they were on YouTube looking up kids songs, and one of my songs popped up on the YouTube, and I was like, oh yeah, about that. You feel me? So I'm sure you can, man. I still have a love for the music, still have a passion for performing. I just get it out different ways,
That's big. So explain to the world, how you maneuver with being a serial entrepreneur, being in tech space and doing a lot of different things with production. How did this mindset come about, and how do you juggle all those hats?
Well, the mindset about being an entrepreneur and just juggling these things, my parents were entrepreneurs, you feel me? They were teachers by day, but they all had businesses that they were doing on the side. And so they always instilled that work for yourself or work for something that you own, rather, because you can work with other people, but just work for something that you can own. So that's really where the entrepreneur mindset really came in at for me.
Okay.
In terms of how I do it, you just have to be disciplined. You have to plan accordingly, and you have to just make sure you feed every avenue. And what I mean by feed, spend time in every avenue and make sure you give it the attention it needs, and that's how you can kind of make it all flourish.
Absolutely. So we're talking to the world about cold turkey. What specifically do you all, cover?
Oh, well, cold turkey management, our baseline is management, right? But when you think about management goes into production management, event management, artist management. So anything dealing with people in different industries, mainly esports and music and STEAM. So
that's good, and that's interesting because I know in a lot of cases we're going into that time where social media is real big.
Absolutely.
People, have their own personal brands and personal wealth. And sometimes there's a bad name with management companies. And people are like, oh, you don't need a management company, they're gonna do X, Y, and Z. How have you been able to maneuver through, not fall into those pitfalls of people looking at management companies bad?
Well, for one, my work speaks for itself, and I think it's all about protecting your reputation and through action, right? And just being professional. There are managers of people. Just like there's good people and bad people, there are good managers and there's bad managers.
Absolutely.
Sometimes you have managers who are just friends of the people they manage. Doesn't really say anything about their business expertise, right?
Okay.
Personally, I did over 10 years plus managing on a corporate level. I went to school for business, you know what I mean? So it's really my background. Management is actually what I do.
Gotcha.
Even outside of entertainment industry before, on a corporate level, 9 to 5 level. So management is a real science. It does take discipline. It does take information and experience.
Yeah.
So, there's bad managers. You have to pick your managers accordingly.
Yeah.
That's all I can really say. It's not a problem for me, because.
It's not your story.
Right. My work speaks for itself. And, people have bad experiences. Just understand that that's not the whole world. That's just your individual experience, and don't be trapped by it.
Correct. So what were some of the things that, throughout the years that kind of propelled you to being a good manager, or to help your mindset, along with, because essentially you're just building people and you're mentoring people.
Absolutely.
And having a relationship with people. So what kind of helped that mindset? Because I don't think a lot of people go into that space understanding that concept.
Right. Well, for me, I started off, being an artist, as you know, right? So I do understand artists and I do understand creative minds. But what helped me become a little more structured was actually working on a corporate level, right? I manage sales teams, I manage marketing teams. So I got the opportunity to learn structured management. And that really helps me in the entertainment field that I work in right now. It really helps me. It's like I'm in an industry that's more lax and more just creative minds, but I come from a more structured background now.
Right.
So it really helps me like excel quickly.
So when I look at the space of managing, whether it's entertainment or rapping or business management, how do you make yourself stand out with really showing that you're a business? From the outside looking in, it looks like people are just kicking it, vibing, having fun. It's like it's just a day in the life. You see them dress a certain way. You really don't see business per se. But from the outside looking in, that's just what it looks like. But is that business? Like, explain that, because I know it's a lot of people like myself who they look at that industry, look at the industry that you're in, and may not always take it serious.
Right.
So how do you maneuver through that?
Well, first of all, a lot of the stuff you see might be exactly what it looks like. Some people are just kicking it.
Yeah.
Some people are just chilling. With me, I really am more business than I am kicking it. Outside of work, and it's maybe because I work in the entertainment industry. Outside of work, you don't really catch me at a party.
Yeah.
You don't really catch me kicking it. Because
kind of work.
It's work for me.
Yeah.
So I'm the person who might not even go to the after party for an event or a shoot, because if I'm not working, I'm going home and getting some sleep.
Yeah.
So I do take my job serious. I do take my position serious, and it's really just about discipline, So there are a lot of people who are doing all the things that you just mentioned, for sure. Yeah. And I see them over there.
And a lot of times they look like artists themselves.
Yeah.
Like they've taken on the role of artists, and
a lot of them. If you're referring to the entertainment industry, a lot of those managers used to be artists too. So, it's really just more so about your personal discipline, your mindset.
Yeah.
Some people still want to be artists.
Yeah.
Some managers do. So I see a lot of things going on. I'm my own man, right? I'm an individual and not afraid to be. So I just don't get caught up in it.
So essentially people hire you to manage them.
Yeah.
When do you ever have to fire them?
Well, anybody who knows me, I don't manage just anybody just because you ask me to manage you.
Okay.
If you reach out to cold turkey management, it's one thing to just ask me for some consultation, I'll do that easily. But if you ask me to manage you, once you ask me, I really have to, there's almost like a courting process. It's not even almost, there really is, and it has to be, a courting process. What that means is someone reaches out to me and says, hey, I want you to be my manager. That's a real relationship. Anybody who takes management serious understands that becoming someone's manager is a real relationship.
Correct.
You have to be on the same page.
Yep.
You have to work together constantly. You have to learn your hard skills and your soft skills, which are more like the emotional cues. Like, you really have to dive in with the people you manage. So I don't just jump the gun, just like I don't jump the gun in relationships.
Yeah.
Well, I have in the past, but
but learning experience.
When it comes to management relationships, you really have to say, okay, you want me to manage you? Well, send me some information, show me what you've been doing, and then you start to just watch. I'll watch. There's people who ask me to manage them, and I'll watch them for a whole year. And I know it's like, it doesn't happen quick for them, but I'll learn and I'll pay attention and I'll watch them for a year, make sure they're serious, make sure they are who they say they are. If you say you're an artist, are you posting about it, or is it just a dream? If it's just a dream in your head, then you're not ready for me yet. You still have some building to do on your own. But I literally have to really stop, pay attention, and get to know the person before I just jump in.
That's
I can't.
Good. That's good.
And that's the way you just Don't set yourself up for failure, because I have been disappointed.
Yeah.
I've had my heart broken by artists,
Yeah,
because I jumped the gun too quickly, right?
Yeah, you see the vision bigger than them.
Absolutely.
And they can't live up to that dream that they say they want.
Right, or they just weren't who they pretended to be initially,
Yeah.
So you really have to just take your time, trust your instincts, and don't skip any steps. And I have to remind people that in this industry constantly. Don't skip steps. Don't skip the business and jump into a situation. Do your due diligence. Do your research before you get involved in anything, whether it's a production, a management contract, a record deal, whatever it is you do. Do your due diligence. You end up saving yourself a lot of pain and heartache in the long haul if you just do your due diligence,
That's good stuff. What's been some of your greatest successes during this time?
Well, man,
on this journey?
I mean, we've had a lot of wins. I'll just talk about one that I'm very excited about. We just did a music and esports workshop with Art Opportunity, a nonprofit called Art Opportunity, and also sponsored by Radar Live, which is a management and record label. And man, just we had I ran the esports side on this time, and just to have those kids, we had about 60 plus kids come out and their parents, and we had a successful gaming workshop talking about the education, the opportunity in esports. And we also had a music workshop where producers work with students to make a beat on the spot.
Yeah.
Artists, producers, and it was just a beautiful thing, man. Whenever it's about showing up for the kids, I just love that, man.
What was the age and the demographic of these kids?
Well, the age, it was middle school and high school kids.
Okay.
And it was mainly black kids.
Wow.
African American children.
That's big.
But we had a couple other people there from other demographics as well.
Of course.
But we are here to serve underserved communities.
Yeah.
And I'm all about equity in esports, especially, right? The music industry. There's a lot of us handling things in the music industry, entertainment industry, but I definitely want to make sure we create some equity in the professional gaming and esports world.
Yeah, that's new in itself. Some of the stuff that I hear that you're doing is big in itself, because it's all about exposure.
Absolutely.
And when I was growing up, I wasn't exposed to half the stuff that I even know is out here right now.
Absolutely.
And especially as a young black man, maybe if I was exposed to something like that, that would have been an option for me.
It's not even a maybe. It really is the truth. Children need to be exposed to other opportunities. Otherwise, they don't even know it exists.
Correct.
And it's not good enough to say, hey, you have the internet, you can just search it out. No, we need to meet people where they are.
Yeah.
And we need to bring opportunities into the community. People shouldn't have to go out of their way to get an opportunity. No, we're going to pull up and we're going to show up where you are and expose your children to things that you didn't know were available. And a lot of parents said that to us. They said that, man, like, we saw this and we didn't know this type of thing was going on. And that was exciting for me. Now, whether or not there are a lot of different things we're doing. I'm working with different networks that people know. I'm not going to name drop them. I'm working with different labels right now, doing different things. But the thing that really stood out to me was what we did for the kids this past weekend. And Esports Week was last week, by the way. DreamHack, which is a big video game festival.
Okay.
A lot of people don't even know about, 60, 70,000 people at the World Congress, and we don't even know what's going on.
Wow.
But it's really right around the corner.
They probably do it every year.
Oh, yeah. Well, this is the first time they came back since COVID, but it's big, it's major. And, so impacting those kids this weekend, that's what means a lot to me right now. We have a lot of wins, but we're in a different world right now. We're doing this philanthropy and showing up for the kids who really need us.
Wow. Yeah. Speaking of philanthropy, they say a rich man without a philanthropy is a broke man.
Okay.
So with the philanthropy mindset, what does that encompass?
Being of service.
Okay.
Right? Serving the underserved communities.
Yeah.
Right? Not just getting to the point where you're like, well, hey, I made it, and forgetting about everybody else.
Right.
My dad's Kenyan, East African, so I try to really be on some real African principles. It's about the tribe. It ain't just about you.
Correct.
I'm not really as capitalistic as, a lot of people are encouraged to be.
Yeah.
I'm more so, I understand that we get further as a community, right? So I'm not going to be happy being successful and then I look around and none of my colleagues, none of my peers, none of the people in my community are successful. It's easy to become successful on your own. So we're on to new and bigger and better challenges. We're about helping other people become successful. We're about building up our community. That's what the real king would do. You understand what I'm saying? So that's really our mentality. So philanthropy is where it's at. And it's a win-win situation, when others are winning with you. So that's how I feel about it. It's like at the end of the day, yeah, you have all that money over there, but what are you doing for us and all these children and all these communities? And that's why we can get some of the big names to show up and work with us because they understand the difference,
So you mentioned the word king, and I have a question for you. You say, so for me, would you rather see yourself be a king or a kingmaker?
Oh, well, see. This is an interesting question because it reminds you of something that I tell people all the time. You're not a king if you can't make a king, figuratively and literally.
Correct.
Right? If you think about a king having an heir, his
Correct.
son becomes king,
Correct.
right? Or a queen. Her son or her daughter becomes a queen. You're literally not a king until you can make a king. You're just not. So when we talk about being a kingmaker, it goes hand in hand. You can't even be a king if you ain't making a king. Correct. You ever watch those like Game of Thrones?
Oh, yeah.
Where the king is sweating because he's like, I need an heir. If I don't have an heir, that's exactly what life's about. So that's figuratively and literally.
Yeah.
So for me, I'm like, oh, okay, if I'm a king, then watch me help these kings and queens pop up. Bing, 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 bing. So right now, I'm past just trying to make myself successful. I realize that my success comes when I can make people successful.
Yeah.
So we're on to that next place. We're like, oh, okay, this is what you want to do. Let's go and empower you up, bing, bing. That's what we're doing out here.
Yeah.
We're raising kings and queens and helping them build their business. That's really what cold turkey management is doing.
I love it.
So, yeah, kingmaker, a king, if you're a real king, is a kingmaker. It goes hand in hand.
Yeah, and I think about it from the standpoint of when you speak of like Game of Thrones, but since the early civilization, everything came from, kingdoms and came from, accomplishing land and,
Absolutely.
taking. That's what America was built on, the world in itself. But I tend to think that the person that was next to the king was really the king.
Okay.
I believe that the person who was the advisor to the king, the right hand to the king, that's the person that's the most prominent person. I believe that that's the person who has all the knowledge. Yeah. I believe that that's the person who makes all the contacts and puts themselves out there. Yeah. And it has to be the king. Like, well, what do you think I should do? Yeah. How you think the people are going to receive me? So I tend to think along what you said, the advisor, the kingmaker is really more important than the king.
Yeah. Hey, 100%.
Yeah. So that's good. So
Absolutely.
I want to give you that one.
For sure.
What does legacy mean to you? I know you have a son. I know you have one. You have more than one.
I have one. Yeah.
Okay.
I have one.
So what does legacy mean to you?
Oh, I mean, legacy is my biggest motivation. I tell people, I say, hey, if we're not doing this for legacy, then what are we even doing here? Are we just feeding our own ego? Are we just feeling good because we're doing something? People don't understand. If it wasn't for legacy, I'll be laying on a beach somewhere in a third world. Well, I don't believe in third world country as a title, but I'll be laying on a beach somewhere in a foreign country just selling seashells for a living if it wasn't about legacy. Because if it was just about me, I like to just explore and have a good time and just sit back and chill, not just work hard. Like, I'd rather just chill.
Yeah.
The reason why I'm doing what I'm doing is all motivated by legacy. When I had my son, he changed my life. You know what I'm saying? Like, he made me realize, like, you know what? Well, I want to say he made me realize it because my family they always taught me about legacy. But everything we do now, we're trying to change 100 years from now. You understand what I'm saying? And we're trying to make sure we have influence 100 years from now. Correct. Through our children, through the businesses we created, through the partners we created. So legacy is everything. It's the only reason why I'm here. If it wasn't for legacy, again, I'd just be chilling somewhere, no cell phone, just laying on the beach. I'm here working hard, planning, executing, all for legacy.
That's big.
That's really my biggest motivation. That's what we're here for. It's not just for me. I'm like, I know who I am. I'm not doing this for my ego or how I feel. I'll just be chilling. I'm confident. I know who I am. You feel me?
That's good.
So legacy is everything.
So that 17-year-old boy who's looking at this video and he's, hearing your journey and your mindset, what do you say to him about becoming his fullest version, the best version of himself? What do you say to him?
Well, I'll say to him that everyone's not going to see your vision. Don't even expect everyone to see your vision. So don't judge your ideas based off of whether or not someone understands it or gets it. Because 9 times out of 10, people won't even get it until you got it. You understand what I'm saying? So I tell that person, don't trust your instincts and follow your dreams, even if everyone around you doesn't believe it or doesn't understand it. Because I guarantee you'll find your tribe and circle that believes in you, but you have to stay consistent. You have to stay on mark so that they'll recognize you when you come around.
Yeah.
You understand? So that's what I'll tell. Don't be discouraged because people don't understand or know what you're doing. I had a conversation with one of my mentors today. I was like, hey, sometimes people don't get the vision, but it's okay. We don't even have time to always explain it. But one thing for sure, once you accomplish certain things, everybody's like, I get it now. It always happens like that. That's
Correct.
the nature of things. So don't get caught up in it,
All right, so as I end this interview, I like to end with a quote. And I'll explain what that quote means to me, and then I want to wish your quote and what it means to you. Okay. So based upon this conversation I have, people want you to be the old you all the time because it makes them comfortable being who they are. Yeah. And what I took from that is, it's like, that's when you have people, to say, oh man, you changing. You think you better than me. Oh yeah. And I've heard that all my whole life. Oh yeah. It's one of those things where it's like people want to make me small because I see myself big. Yeah. Because I want to become bigger. And I had to get comfortable in that space. I had to get comfortable and I had to stand tall on that ideal.
I have to.
And, over the years, me doing that is made me be gratifying. And I always say, I meet you at the top because the bottom's too crowded. Yeah. And it came from that mindset because you're like, you say you want to do something, but your action's not adding up to that, so I'll meet you there. Yeah. What's yours? What did it mean to you?
First of all, I want to say that's a great one. And I've been through a lot of that myself. People want you to be the old person they knew, and I'm like, we're out here growing. Yeah. So if you're not growing with us, then take your time, but doesn't mean we have to stay around.
And a lot of times it's family.
Yeah. Oh, it's mainly.
I only see that,
so
a lot of times
change,
with family.
Right. A lot of people go through that. Yeah. Family and friends who you had since you were younger and a child. Right. They're looking like, oh, so you different now? Yeah. I'm like, you happy for me or not?
Exactly.
But I'll say that my quote or affirmation, right, is there are no shortages of opportunities. There are only shortages of people with the right mindset to actually go after them. You know what I mean? That's one thing I want to say, or to take advantage of those opportunities. Because what I've realized is that it's almost like people walk around with a mentality of lack, right? Where I walk around with the mentality of plenty, right? What I mean by lack, you ever heard someone tell you that, they don't want to put anybody else on. Yeah. They don't want to be a kingmaker, right? A queen maker. They don't want to put anybody else on. It's because they have this mentality of there's lack, there's not enough opportunities. So once I get it, I have to hold on to it tightly because I don't want anybody else to have it. If someone else has it, it takes from me.
It's not enough for me.
But that is just a myth. There are tons of opportunities everywhere. And if you're focused on trying to stop or hold an opportunity from somebody, you've missed about 10 other ones right there. Yeah. So that's really the thing I remind myself. I try to share that with people. Some people get it, some people don't. But there are no shortages of opportunities, only a shortage of people in the right mind to go after those opportunities.
I like that one.
So that's something I have to constantly remind myself, especially in this industry, share an opportunity. And you lift the people up around you, they'll carry you to the top. Yeah. But a lot of people don't realize that, So that's one thing I'll say, for sure.
That's big. How can they find you And what's new for you that you want to give to them? Or anything that's coming up that you want them to be a part of?
Okay, well, at Cold Turkey on Instagram, and also at Cold Turkey Management on Instagram, coldturkeymanagement.com. And just search Cold Turkey Management on Google. It'll pop up all the social medias, et cetera, interviews, et cetera. Yeah, I mean, in terms of what we have coming up, I'm working a lot in STEM. Now it's called STEAM. They did add art, thankfully, to STEM. So I'm working a lot in STEM with FE STEAM, with Opportunity, with Radar Live, with JSAC, which is the Lonnie Johnson Center downtown. We're still in music. I have a producer, Amani Chanel. She plays 6 instruments. She's amazing. We have her doing everything from scoring film to working with projects overseas in Africa, et cetera. So I'm excited about that, working on publishing deals, things like that. So we're still there. And we also plan to produce a film or two in 2023 and 2024. So we're working in all those lanes diligently. We're remaining disciplined, and we're focused on the work, not the reward. We love what we do. The rewards will just pile up before we even notice. But when you focus on the work and fall in love with the work, you'll keep going. And that's what it's all about, you know?
You said when you fall in love with the journey,
fall in love with
everything else will be rewarded along the way.
Yes, it will. Don't focus on the trophy. Yeah. The trophies come. Focus on the work. And then it'll be like, hey, you'll be looking at them collecting dust on the shelf. But just fall in love with the work and love what you do. If you don't love what you do, stop doing it, okay?
Getting something else.
Absolutely. Yeah. Absolutely.
Hey, well, I appreciate you today, man.
Thank you.
Absolutely. Yeah. All right, well, as always, I hope you enjoyed today's interview. This was a good one. Make sure you comment, like, and share this video. Make sure you tap in to get connected. And as always, stand tall through it all. Now, I meet you at the top because the bottom is too crowded.
Hey.
Peace.
All right.